Oh no, boys and girls, I'm not ready. This is going to be a struggle. I have been remiss in the weather report for the last few days, and a lot of things have built up in the queue. But I think what we'll do first is address last night. And we had a debate with this Kevin Anderson and Jackson Wheat on Standing for Truth's channel that actually spawned about 4 shows. So it started out with logical, plausible, and probable, doing a pre-show, wondering who will win. And I don't know, I made a comment. I'm kind of wondering, is this high school debate? I mean, is it about winning, or is it about, trying to elucidate the truth for some users or for some viewers? I don't know. I don't know about this, how you would grade a debate. And it's odd. The creationists always believe they won, no matter what happens or no matter how ridiculous the presentation was. Anyway, at the end of this, John actually got me on his show and we had a little talk. And there were some interesting things that came up that we were going to have to address. And one of them was with Smokey and him saying that this whole intelligent design thing was philosophy and not science. If you listen to intelligent design proponents, they will tell you it's science, not philosophy, not religion. But these two seem to be saying the opposite. Now, I have to listen to it again. I don't want to misread you, John. So I have to listen to the whole thing. And it was sort of an impromptu thing. And we actually got along pretty well. It's the first time we've talked since we debated. Another thing came up about the debate. Now, John had about 3 debates under his belt, and I had about, maybe 3 under mine. And when I debated him, I had seen what he had done with his condescension of other, in his trying to catch people up in what they didn't know. I saw him do that egregiously with Snake Was Right. So I was prepared, because I am a programmer and I have studied biosemiotics and some of the things that John uses as his talking point. So in the debate, I was kind of an asshole myself. I just came at him with the same tactic that I saw him using on others and assumed he would try to use on me. And I guess, I was a bit of an ass too. I will admit that. It could have been a better debate if we had perhaps approached it differently, both of us. But anyway, sorry about that, John. So other than that, they may have come up with some other stuff here. We'll probably address it on Saturday Night at the Atheist. So then we had the debate, which was right here on Standing for Truth channel. Now, Kevin Anderson apparently works for AIG, and I expected more from him, being a PhD in microbiology. He came up with all of the talking points from AIG. I mean, it was just, the same garbage. He managed to pull one paper that was recent that nobody expected, and we're all looking at, so with the Lenski's experiment. But his performance was very weak. He drilled down into this one thing, which is de novo genes. How do genes evolve in the first place? How do they develop? And this is something that there's a lot of confusion from both sides here. And I don't think that we, as people that work on evolution, do a very good job of explaining what this de novo gene thing is all the way through. There are so many different mechanisms, like duplication with modification and alternative splicing, but there's more to it than that. There is a de novo path that we never seem to talk about because it's mathematically difficult, and I'm hoping to get to that. So anyway, the debate was, I don't know, who won? Who really gives a shit who won? It's about information. It's about the truth. Well, then the after show started, and at the same time, Smokey ran on his channel, his James Tour thing. I think it's a teaser for James Tour, and he's hoping to have him on. James Tour is like their main dude. Hang on a second. And James Tour speaks with forked tongue when he talks to other scientists like Lee Cronin. I think he sounds pretty reasonable. When he talks to church groups, he's kind of putting on his public face and saying a lot of things that I don't think James Tour is entitled to say based on the knowledge. But there'll be more on that. And then, of course, we had an after show from John Maddox. And my goodness, this one went, how many hours? I don't know. Hard to say. I think I may have to refresh it, see if it tells us. Oh, 9 hours. 9 hours. And they had a gentleman on here at some point who was kind of interesting. No. I guess he was on at the beginning. Caleb Felicetti. And I think he was arguing for evolution, and I haven't had a chance to listen to all of this. At the end, they got into all this physics stuff, which was actually kind of funny listening to these guys try to figure out the universe, not being physicists. Fairly interesting. And then John left, and I don't know what it devolved into, but we will check that out and give you more on that, and I'll try to get you the links. Now, the really interesting one for me was on Erica's channel. They hang out with RJ and Jackson and TD Lane and Erica, where they took the debate apart piece by piece, and they showed a great deal of information in the process. And I think Dapper Dino was here for a little while too at some point. I'm not, oh yes, he was. And it was an interesting discussion. If you want to hear what actually happened during the debate, I would recommend this. It's pretty good. So, and we need to refresh that too. So in the process, I think in the pre-debate show, somebody, I don't know who it is, I forget who it is, put this garbage up about James Tour. And of course, you know, my goodness, look at the pictures they chose and the way they choose to present their guy and, you know, our guy. It's like little bias there. And this is, you know, this will be in the links. I don't know what kind of garbage this is. They got some links and the usual suspects. James Tour. I mean, they've got this handful of people that are promoting this stuff, and they're on talk circuits. And I just don't find that persuasive. I would be more persuaded by kind of a, you know, view from both sides. And then the other thing that came up is I think Antangelo put this carbon metabolism as the most basic aspect of life. And this is from Reasons and Science, which I don't think is about reasons and science as near as I can tell. And they mention, it's got some nice pictures in here of multiple pathways and carbon pathways. Of course, this is our little circuit diagram, which is the reductionist approach to science. And I will put this link up because this is going to be coming up. There are multiple ways to basically assimilate carbon in organisms on the earth. And to me, that shows that it's not designed. I mean, if I were a designer, I'd pick one good pathway, fine tune it, use it everywhere. I don't know why multiple ones would happen. As a evolutionist, I can tell you that multiple pathways pop up because there's random mutation, and the cell is a big puddle of mud, and there's all kinds of chemical expression going on, and there's enough. There are millions of different pathways, mini pathways in the cell that don't end up going anywhere until they do, and that's how new pathways arise. And that again goes back to this thing that evolution. I can't call myself an evolutionist. It's just silly. Evolutionary biologists need to address the masses more carefully concerning de novo pathways and de novo genes. And I'm hoping we can do a little bit of that and explain why we believe, why we feel we have evidence that this happens. And the evidence is kind of surprising. It isn't fossil evidence and it isn't observing it, you know, in the woods. I mean, we can't go out there and watch every bug evolve, can we? That isn't how we do it. You understand the science, you understand the chemistry, you understand the mechanisms, and then you go ahead and you try to understand the mathematics that could model or portray the reality of 10 to the 40th or 50th events happening all around us in life on this planet. And that's where you start to see or explain evolution. And we do a very bad job. We always, in our defense, we kind of get galloped from one end to the other, from abio to, you know, complex human ribosomes in eukaryotic cells. They keep moving the goalposts, so we never get a chance to actually talk about how this mechanism could work and why we believe in it. So anyway, there's all of that. And we are going to have to try and switch screens here for a minute because I'm going to talk about some other things. And that is going to require that I show. I hope I don't dox myself too badly here. Whoops, I just doxed myself very badly. That's bad. Anyway, let's see. YouTube in the last week has kind of gone crazy. Smoky Saint and Raging Atheist are fighting it out. And they're, well, Smoky Saint is attacking Raging Atheist, and he's attacking him on with the, what did he say? He's going to turn him into the SJW Alliance or something. Smokey's got a lot of things that he said about feminism and stuff too. And I don't know, Smokey, I would just cool it on that. But he's getting a lot of subs over this war with Raging Roddy, we call him, the Raging Atheist. And he has a pretty good channel, and I think I'm going to try to provide some links for that. Nephilim Free keeps going on. He does these long, horrible things where he puts out a lot of content. He's got a lot of papers, so he's kind of worth watching sometimes, or at least fast forwarding through. And then let's see, we have I have the Discovery Institute and AIG put out, and Ken Ham put out like 3 or 4 things a day almost, just bullshit articles. Let's see, so the Smoky Saints stuff is going on. T-Jump had a debate. Sean Carroll has uploaded some videos. I got the Rage on here. More Smoky Saint, Pine Creek. Dapper Dino with Kent with a Bent 32. And that's about it. And I should have dealt with these on a daily basis. I'll try to get better about this. But now there's some other things. Oh my God, they are still going after me about the pudding. And that came up in John's pre-show where I came on basically to explain the pudding, because I don't think John or any of them, particularly Anthony Maurice, still understand what I was saying. They're getting a better idea because apparently they are listening to my explanations, but I still don't think they quite understand. The pudding charge was against Tony. He's the one with pudding in his goddamn brain. Not me. I wasn't promoting pudding. I'm promoting a massively complex Earth, pre-Earth or pre-life Earth with quadrillions or 10 to the 50th microstates. And that's where life happened. You cannot do that by putting a bunch of junk or a bunch of biomolecules in a flask and waiting for life to form, like Tony seems to be suggesting. And so then I asked Tony, do you think the Earth was made of pudding? Of course it isn't. You fool. The other thing that came up is I mentioned that, you know, I got into organic chemistry when I was about 10 years old. And of course, in the middle of my drug use about 30 years ago, I did make my own meth. And apparently they thought I was like some sort of Breaking Bad meth dealer or something like that. No, that's not what happened. Really good drug addicts never give their stuff away or sell it. Really good drug addicts put it all in their body, and that was me. And yes, for a while there, I was making my own product because hell, the dealers couldn't get to my house fast enough. So, but that was a long time ago, and that story I will elaborate on because I kind of want to talk about my life as a drug addict and an alcoholic, and as a recovering addict and alcoholic of 13 years, mind you, now, and just the misunderstandings about that, and the misunderstandings about the morality. I mean, morality doesn't have a hell of a lot to do with a drug addict, to tell you the truth, other than when you recover. So I'm hoping to address a little bit more of that. And I think that's about it. We are going to be doing a takedown of Standing for Truth, hopefully on paleontology and some of the stuff he mentioned in a evolution beatdown the other night. That's one video I have to link. And in his Standing and Poop book, Why Evolution is False, or Why Human Evolution is False. In the beginning of it, I mean, he does this thing. It's either sophistry or he is really deluded by his own rhetoric, one or the other. But we will take that down. And I do have to address John Maddox's complete misunderstanding of miRNA. We're trying to clip some things together. It takes time to make a show, especially if you're an amateur like we are. So anyway, guys, hopefully tomorrow I will, or the next day as things develop, I will, try to do this a little more often. I'll let you know what's going on out there. Later.